and welcome to another episode of my Learning Lightroom series. Today I want to show you the great additional functionality added to the graduated and the Radial Filter tools in Lightroom CC. This is the ability to be able to fine-tune the effects after using both these filters. This really does extend the capabilities of both tools. It is so useful. So let me show you how it works. On this image, for instance, I may want to darken the sky down a bit, give it a little bit more density. So I can do that with the graduated filter. So I'm already in the develop module, so I'm going to select the tool, the graduated filter, or press M on the keyboard. And then I'm going to click and drag down. Now it's obviously lightening because when you look at all the sliders here that come with the tool, the only one that's actually doing anything is the exposure, and it's positive exposure. So I may need to darken that sky down a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. But you'll notice that it's actually darkening everything that's on that horizontal line. So it's darkening the chimneys and the roof. And if I go down to show selected mask overlay and tick that, this is like a red rubylith overlay, and everywhere where it's this red colour is being affected. So you can see that the chimney's been affected, the top of the roof's been affected, and the further down we drag it, the worse it gets. Well, now we've got an additional feature. We've got this brush, and what I can do, if I click on the brush and then I'll scroll down to the bottom here, and we can see we've got three brushes. We've got brush A, brush B, and an erase brush. We've got a size, feather, flow and density. I explain all of this, how to use this tool in another video. Now for today I just want to use the erase function because I want to erase part of this adjustment. So I'm going to click on the erase tool. If you look at the cursor here, I've got two circles. Now the inner circle is the extent of the brush, the outer circle is the extent of the feather, and obviously that's controlled by this feather slider here. You can see that will make that go bigger or smaller. I'll have it something like that. You can change the size of the brush by using the square brackets key, and so I'll make it a little bit smaller. And now what I'll do is I'll start painting in where I don't want this effect, and you can see it's actually painting out the effect because I don't want it anywhere in the building. I don't want it on this roof. I'll paint it right out. I'm doing this quickly. You'd obviously take a little bit more care, just so you're not sat here hours watching me do this. Now in the trees, my best suggestion for this is to, instead of using a really small brush and trying to draw around all the branches, I would take a big brush with a good feather on it, and I would just click on the tree, and hopefully it will pick out the tones of that tree. So if I click a couple of times, it's going to try its best just to select the tree. It will select a little bit of the sky, but we can't really do much about that unless we start going through and trying to select each little individual branch. And oh, and I've missed a bit over here, so I'd probably crop this out anyway. But I'll, again, square brackets to make the cursor a little bit smaller, and I'll just paint out this adjustment here where I don't want it. And I've obviously made a bit of a mess there where I've gone too far, so I'm going to go back to brush A and then just paint that adjustment back in again. There we go. So now if I turn off this selected mask overlay and I go back up to my adjustment slider, you can see if I move it backwards and forwards now, I'm only affecting the sky. I'm not affecting the building. So I'm doing this a little bit too much just to show you that this is how it works. So this is fantastic, being able to use this filter and then paint out areas where I don't want to use it. So that's the graduated filter. Now what about the radial filter? Okay, so let's go and see if we can find another image. We'll go back to the library. I'll go to grid view and I'll pick this image, which is a portrait shot. On this one there's a little bit of work to do, it's a little bit overexposed, so we'll go back into develop module. You can do that by clicking on the develop or pressing D on the keyboard, and then we'll just darken it, just pull the exposure down a little bit, pull the highlights down and the shadows, and we've got a little, maybe a tiny bit of clarity and a little bit of vibrance. So we get this as we like it, but you might want to put a little bit of a spotlight area, a little bit of a high key area on the face. Well, that's ideal for the radial filter, and you can access that by clicking on this icon or the keyboard shortcut, as you can see there, of Shift and M. And I'll now draw this out, and then I can grab it by the center pin and move it. If I move outside, I can rotate it and I can get it just over the face. But you'll see now, I'll put this show selected mask overlay back on, and you'll see that it's actually affecting everything but the area where I want it to affect. And this is just the way the tool works. By default, the invert mask tick isn't in. So what you'll have to do is click on that to invert the mask, and now everything that's inside this area is being affected, anywhere outside isn't. So now I can make some changes to this. I'll just untick that and we'll go back and we'll play about with the exposure again, so we'll get it nice and light and probably a bit of highlights as well, and we may need a little bit of face softening, for instance, so we'll just turn down the clarity. And that looks a little bit better. But if I zoom in, let's go into 1:1, and I'll just spacebar and drag. You'll see that it's actually softening the eyes as well and lightening them, and I might not want that to happen. Well, now I've got the brush feature again, so I'm going to click on the brush. I'm going to go down and I'm going to select the erase function again. I'm going to go in, maybe a little bit bigger than that, so I'm going to use the square brackets just to make that a bit bigger. And now I'm going to paint out anywhere in the eyes that I don't want these effects to happen. So we'll just go up there a little bit and around here. Spacebar drag again to get over to this eye. And just paint out that softness, because we don't want the eyes being soft, but we do want the skin to be soft. That's about it. We'll zoom back out again, and now you can see that whatever I do, I'll just make another adjustment. We'll move the exposure. It doesn't affect the eyes now, because we've now painted that effect out. And I think that is well useful. So I hope you found that useful. The new graduated and radial filter brush feature, new to Lightroom CC. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.